my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you my go-to perfect base routine. I'm going to show you what my favourite products are at the moment, but also how you can get the best out of what products you have. So let's get started. Also, how cute is my new little earring? It's a little dragonfly and it's so cute. So before we do anything, we want to make sure that we've washed our face and it's nice and clean. I use the tea tree face wash from Primark. I'm not sure if they still do it anymore, but it's such a good one if you can pick it up anywhere. And we want to make sure that we're well moisturised, so I'm going to use the Vitamin E Intense Moisture Cream. This is one of my favourite moisturisers, so I'm going to pop that on my face. My skin has been very dry recently, so I've been trying to use this a couple of times a day. We want to make sure we get that under our eyes as well and rub it all in nicely. So once we've let that sink into our skin for a minute or two, we're going to go in with a primer. My favourite one at the moment is the Primark Prep and Perfect. Again, I don't know if they actually still do this. I know a while ago you could still get them on like while you're queuing, the till bits, but I'm not sure. You might be able to pick it up in a Primark somewhere, but if not, then any primer that you like will work just as well. I always like to go for a moisturising primer, so I'm just going to put this everywhere that I put my moisturiser. I know some people like to use this primer, or obviously what it's a dupe of, which is the Bobbi Brown primer, but I've never tried that because it's crazy expensive. But I know that some people will use that almost as a moisturiser and then put another primer on top of that, so that's also an option. But we're just going to use this one today, and again, because that's nice and moisturising, we want to let that sink into our skin before we put any other products on top. So this is my absolute favourite drugstore foundation. It's the Rimmel Match Perfection foundation, and I've got the shade Fair Ivory. I've used this one for a very long time and I've just always loved it. So I'm going to start off by putting a bit on the back of my hand. I've used 2 pumps. We're going to want to start off with a foundation brush. I've got this one, but you can use one that's a little bit more dense. It just depends how you like to apply it. And then I'm going to pick up some of that product and I'm going to tap it into my skin. By putting it on the back of your hand rather than putting it straight on your face, it just ensures that you don't apply too much product, because sometimes that's easy to do if you're putting it directly on your face. And we don't want to go too far up under our eyes if we're going to be using concealer. It really emphasises the dark circles under my eyes when I haven't got concealer on, so we're just going to ignore that. So once we've blended that out as best we can with our brush, we're going to go in with a beauty blender. I don't know where this one's from, I've had it for a little while, but it was an expensive one, so any beauty sponge will do. And a little trick is you always obviously want to wet it and squeeze it out as much as you can, and then get some tissue and wrap it around it and squeeze it again and get all the excess water out, because sometimes it can just be a little bit too wet. We're just going to go over what we blended out and just make it all nicely blended so we haven't got any brush marks or anything like that. It just helps it look a little bit more flawless. Next we're going to do cream contour. I've just got the Primark one. As you can see, it's leaked around the edges, but I really like the product, so we're going to look past that. And we're just going to put a couple of dots on the cheeks and then the same on the forehead and a little bit up the nose, and then you can do a little bit down here if you want to try and hide that double chin a little bit. Then I've got this angled brush that is quite dense as well, so we're just going to use that to blend it all out. Again, any products that you like using will work, but these are just my go-tos at the moment. I've got hair on my face somewhere and it's really bugging me. I can't find it. With nose contour, I've never really been like a pro at it, but I'm getting there. Slightly better than it used to be. Can't forget this. I have done that before. I've done my whole makeup and then I've remembered that I haven't blended out under my chin. So I'm just sort of bringing that up here a little bit. Just blending it out nicely. Okay, now for concealer to cover up these dark circles. I'm going to use the Rimmel Multitasker Concealer. I have the shade Porcelain. And I'm just going to put a dot there and a dot there. And then some here and here. We don't want to overdo product under our eyes, so we're just going to start off with a bit and then we can always add more if we need to. And then any blemishes, a little spot there, so let's cover that up. So we're going to start off by using this concealer brush to blend it out. So with all of our products, we want to make sure we're more tapping on the skin rather than swiping, because then that just helps to ensure that there's no product movement as we're layering each product on top of each other. And the same under the eyes. And we're going to bring some of that concealer onto our eyelids as well. I always panic that I'm not recording, so I always have to check. And then we're going to want to go back in with our sponge and just blend out where we just put our concealer. And then we get to my favourite part, which is blush. I absolutely love these two products. It's the Rare Beauty blush and liquid luminizer. I've got the shade Hope in the blush, and this is the shade Mesmerize in the liquid luminizer. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop some on the top of this lid. So just going to pop some of that blush on there, and then the same with the liquid luminizer. This is a good little trick if you want really nice glowy blush. Just mix it all together on there, and then you can pop that straight onto your cheeks and it's all nice and mixed already. Patting that again onto the skin, getting it in the places that I want it, and then again we're going to want to go back over with our sponge and just blend out the edges. So now that we're looking nice and glowy, we're going to want to set everything. I always like to use a powder puff under my eyes and usually on my chin and my forehead. This is the Trigwell Cosmetics one. I've got the mini one. And then I tend to use the loose powder. This is my favourite at the moment. It's the Revolution Translucent Baking Powder. And I just pop that in there. And then I get some on my powder puff. And then on the back of my hand, I tap off any excess and sort of work it into the powder puff a little bit. Before we apply the powder, we just want to make sure that we haven't got any creasing where we've put our concealer. So we're just going to tap that out with the sponge. And then we're going to go in with the powder puff. Again, patting motions, don't swipe. And can you see the difference? It's just giving it a bit more of a flawless look. It's taken away that shine. Yeah, looking in the mirror, I can actually see quite a big difference with that. I think today I am very tired, so it's a little bit more obvious. So again, don't forget to pat out that concealer. We don't want any creasing going on. And the same with the powder puff, and then under the eyes. And then again, same for the chin. Especially if I'm having a breakout or anything, I like to use this because it gives a little bit more coverage to try and cover those bad boys up. And forehead as well. If you don't like to use too much powder, you can just leave it there, but I like to make sure I am well and truly powdered. So I'm going to go in with a powder brush and just set everywhere else with that. So now that we've set everywhere, we can then go in with our powder bronzers and blushes. This is the powder bronzer that I've been using recently. It's the Revolution Mega Bronzer in the shade One Cool. This is actually very pigmented, so you have to go careful. But I'm just going to pop that in the similar areas to where I contoured before with the cream products. Again, you don't want to swipe too much because that can move the cream products underneath, and we don't want that. Because this is quite pigmented, I'm just tapping some on here and then brushing off any excess onto my hand. That way I don't get like a big product build up in one area. And then I'm just going to add a tiny bit onto my nose, redo that nose contour a little bit. And then for blush, I'm going to use the P. Louise My First Blush palette, and there's a good shade range. I'm going to go in with this shade because I feel like it's the closest to the liquid blush that I used, and I'm just going to use a nice fluffy brush for that. Again, you want to make sure you don't have too much product on your brush. And then we're just going over where we put our liquid blush with that. I always like to put a little bit on my nose as well. And then onto setting sprays, I've got two favourites at the moment. It's the e.l.f. Power Grip Dewy Setting Spray and the L'Oreal Infallible 3-second setting mist. I always struggle with that one. Both of them are pretty empty, so we need to restock on them. So we're going to use the e.l.f. one first. This is just going to bring some life back into our skin and bring back that glowiness from after we powdered. So we're going to let that dry. And then in with this one. It kind of reminds me of Hairspray a little bit, but it's still pretty good. So we don't want to breathe this one in. Every time I've used this one, my makeup has lasted all day, so it's very good. So I'm going to go and do my eyes and I'll be back to show you the finished results. And there we have the finished look. What do we think of the base? All those products are my absolute favourites at the moment. Really any base products that you already have or that you know that you love, you can really get the most out of them by following those few little tips and making sure you have a nice moisturised base before you start anything. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like and comment any video suggestions that you might have, or let me know if you give this look a go. Subscribe for more videos in the future, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye!